Hello Sumit, welcome to another video tutorial. So in this video we'll be learning how to make this beautiful illusion net corset. Let's get started. Hello Sumit, welcome to another video tutorial. So now to get started in the making of this corset, I have my bra cup. So for this client I'm using extra large because she's quite busty. So I will show us all the materials I'm using. So these are all the materials I'm using. This is a corset mesh. So I have 1 yard of it that I'm using. Then I have my lace. I have the scrap I'm using to line the lace. Okay. Then I have China lining. You know, after using this one for the lace, I have to use another lining to turn the inside. I have my ostrich feather. Then I have my original skin net with me because it has to be something, and you can see that the skin net and the corset mesh, they are almost the same tone, right? So now this is the skin net I will be using for the corset. So, and again I'm going to be using hairstay for some parts, but when we get there we'll see it. So these are the things I'm using. So for now, let's get started. Now I have my measurements, like my normal basic bodice pattern, already drafted out. So I have the front and back already. So what we are going to do now on this one, I'm going to, so from this part to her chest line is 10 inches. Her bust point, which is her apex, her nipple point, is 11.5, while her under bust is 14. So for this one, the method, the pattern I want to use for this corset, you have to raise because it's probably a dartless corset we're making, right? So I'm going to raise her under bust by 1 inch. So I will be raising her under bust to 13 inches, okay? Because I feel we're using bra cup, and normally when you're using bra cup, you don't use your normal under bust measurement. You will come up by 1 inch so that it sits very well, okay? So if I take it up, it's going to be 13 inches for the under bust. Okay, so I'm going to rule another line. So we have our new under bust line, which is this one. So another thing you have to do now, on this part I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch, and I will rule it straight to the new under bust line. So this 1/2 inch I just rule now is going to serve as a guide for me, okay, for my cup placement. So what I will do now, on this part I'm going to come in by 4 inch, which is my normal dart line. So it's going to extend to the new under bust line 4 inch straight down, okay? Then I will connect it like so. So now I'm going to place the cup, and it's going to be slanted a little bit. I'm not going to slant it so much, so I will just slant it a little bit like so. So now I will make sure that it is not exceeding the under bust. Let me turn it the other way so that we can see what I'm doing clearly. Can you see how I'm placing it? So now when you place it, you make sure that it's not exceeding this new under bust line, okay? So I'm just going to slant it a bit. If you don't want to slant it, you can place it straight like so, okay? But it's slanted from what my client wants, so I'm going to slant it a little bit like this. So I'm going to slant it a little bit like this. Then I'll go ahead and draw. Don't just leave it this way. You press it down a bit, okay? You spread it down a bit, okay? Can you see what I'm doing? I'm not pressing it too much, right? It's just a little bit. You spread it a little bit like so. Then you go ahead and draw it round. Okay, so this is what we have. Now you can see what we have. Like I said, if you don't want it slanted, you can make yours straight. Okay, you can just place it and make it straight like this. It will still come out well. Okay, so the next thing I'll be doing now is to mark ½ inch round it. Now this ½ inch is what will serve as my allowance when I want to join the cup to the bodies of the corset. Okay, so now this ½ inch, when I go ahead to cut now on the fabric, this part is following, so this is the only part we're cutting away. So instead of going to the fabric to start adding ½ inch, I prefer to just add it to the paper here because I feel like it is easier. So you just mark your ½ inch, round it like that. So this part now, we're going to be creating the yoke, how I want the yoke to be. So for now, the yoke is very deep. From the picture, the yoke is very deep. So what I'll do now, from this part, I have to curve it to the extent where I want it. Okay, so the yoke is exceeding the underbust from the video, and I think it is okay like this. I think it's fine like this. So this part now is going to serve as the yoke. Okay, so this is the yoke for the front. The back is going to be carrying a yoke also. So this is the yoke for the front, and this part you can just decide to connect it to this other side like this. Okay, so after connecting the yoke on this other part, this is what we have. So I'm just going to blend it to the armhole like this. Okay, so we have our front yoke ready like this. You can see how simple it is to make. So when I was drafting on the pattern, I added 1.5 for my seam allowance like I normally do. Okay, but that is too much, so I'm going to just add 1 inch as my seam allowance, and I will reconnect the waistline. So I'm just cross checking on this part to see, and on the waistline I think, okay, I exceeded the waistline here, so I'm going to correct the waistline, which is 8.5. okay, so which means that I'm reconnecting. Okay, I'm reconnecting the waistline. On the hip line, okay, so this is her hip line, so I'll connect from this new waistline straight to this part like this. So now, so that we don't get confused or we don't forget, the full length of the corset is 22. Okay, I'm not adding extra inches for turning. I'm still going to turn from the 22. Like when I'm turning the hem, I'm still going to turn from the 22, because once your corset is too long, you will not be able to sit down. Like you can't sit down. Okay, so don't make it too long. I think 20, it should not exceed 22. You can even make it 20 or 21. Okay, the shorter, the more comfortable it becomes for your clients or yourself. Okay, so this is the new line we're working with. So I'm just going to add my, okay, so this is 1 inch for the seam allowance, and this is 1 inch for the seam allowance, and I'm going to add 1 inch for the seam allowances. So this part I'm going to test it out. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to reconnect the lines. This is the 1 inch for the extra seam allowance. This one is the 1 inch also here, and this is the 1 inch here. So I'll just go ahead and reconnect. So now after doing all of this, another thing we want to do is that we are going to snatch. Now before you snatch, you make sure you add your seam allowance, all the allowances you'll be needing. Add it before you go ahead to snatch. Okay, so what you do now, from the waistline, I'm going to come down by 3.5 of an inch. Okay, 3.5 of an inch. Then on this part, I'm going to determine how many inches I'm taking away from her waist. So I'm using just half, because I don't want it to be too snatched. Then from that half, I'll rule a straight line 1 inch long downwards. Okay, if you've not seen my video on how to snatch your waist properly, I'll drop the link in the description box. I have a very detailed video on how to do that. Then you connect it like this. So after connecting it now, on this part that is giving a sharp edge, you're also going to blend it. Okay, so you blend it like this. So after blending it, you reconnect. Okay, you reconnect like this. So this is the part we will be working with. Okay, so now like this, we've already snatched the waist, like so. Okay, so this is the part we will be working with. The same thing we've done here now, we will be repeating it for the back pattern also. So now the front is ready. The next thing we are going to do is the tightening we'll be doing here as I go ahead to cut. But before then, let's draft the back first before we go ahead to do that. So for the back pattern, I'm just going to separate it so that it's easier for me to work on. Now, you know, it is 1 inch I use for the front seam allowance. It has to be the same for the back. Okay, so I'm going to measure the 1 inch down and I'll connect. So after connecting, we are going to snatch. Okay, same way we did for the front. So I'm snatching by 1/2 inch, same thing we did for the front. Then I will rule 1 inch downwards like this. Then from there I will connect with the curve ruler. From this 1 inch now, I will connect it to this part to create the snatch. Okay, so after that I'll blend this part out. Then I'm going to reconnect. Okay, so after that you can go ahead and cut it out so we don't get confused. So this is what we have. So now to create the back yoke, I will determine how I want the back to be. So I want just like one button on this part, just a button. It could be a button or a hook. Okay, so from this part now, I'm going to come down by 1.5 of an inch because or I will use 1 inch. I'll come down by 1 inch like so. Then I'm going to connect it according to how I want it. So I'm just creating a curve for the back yoke. So on this part, I'm going to mark where the yoke will stop. Okay, so I'll connect the yoke to that part. I'm just going to use this curve ruler to do it so that it will be easier for me. So this part is going to be an opening. Okay, so this is the back yoke. Okay, so this part, we are going to cut this part away. So like this, we're done. Now the back width, the back neckline, the depth is 1 inch. This one is 3 inch, but we are going to correct that because I feel 3 inches is too small. So I'm going to increase it. The same thing, we'll do it for the front. Okay, so I'm going to take it to 4 inches. Then I'm going to reconnect. I'm going to reconnect the neckline to the 1 inch here. So this will be the new neckline for the back. Then for the depth, shoulder slope, I used 1 inch for the shoulder slope for the back. Then the armhole curve is just to this point. I didn't go in by any inches. So I'm just going ahead to cut it out. So on this part, I'm going to come in by 2 inches for the back, for the bony and eyelet channel for the back. Okay, so I'll come in by 2 inches because this part we are going to be using the main fabric for it. We will not be using so this is what we have. So the next thing I will do now is to cut the front pattern. So for this part, you know, we extended it to 4 inches. So it's going to start from here. Then for the neck depth, I think 3 inches is too high, so I'm going to take it down a bit. I'm going to take it down to about 4.5. So we've reconnected the, can you see? So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So I need a fresh paper for this part. I need a fresh paper for this part. So what I'll do now, I'll rule a straight line, okay? From this straight line, I'll mark 1 inch. And I'll rule again. I will mark 1/2 inch in between. Okay, so what I will do now, I'm going to place these ones, I'm going to place them side by side. So on the lower part, I'm going to make sure that they are equal like this. Then I will tape them, okay? So I'm going to tape them off camera. I'll just tape this part down and tape this part down. So I've gotten my tape. I'm just going to tape it down. Like I said before, make sure that it is straight enough, okay? Point, let me just roll it across so that it meets. Okay, so from this midpoint now, okay, I'm going to connect from this part to this part. Then from this same midpoint, I'll connect to this other edge. Okay, so that's just all about the tightening. I'll go ahead and cut it out. So this is what we have. The next thing I will do now is to go ahead and cut on the fabric. So don't forget that the yoke is the skin net, while the bodice is the corset mesh we are using for it, aside this part. Okay, so I have to get the center, okay, so that I don't make mistake, center back. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and fold my fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut. Can you see? So now I will show us what I've done. So this is the back pattern. This is the center back. But what you should know is that this one is going to come on fold like this, okay? So I added 1/2 inch to the edge that we used to join it to this part, okay? So this is it. This is how it is going to come. But on this one, is the lining and the lace that I'm using for this part. Then for the back pattern of the dress I'm making, the back pattern has the mesh and the lace together. So for the front, it is going to be draped after I've done the corset fully. So we're going to be draping in this video also. So turning it to the side, let me show us what I did. On this part that we used to join it to this one, I added 1/2 inch like I added to this one, but we used to join them together, okay? Then on the upper part, I added 1/2 inch. It's because I repinned it. This is where the extra 1/2 inch I added is 1/2 inch, not the lower part. When I was cutting the lace, I have to repin it. That's why it is shifting to the lower part. It is not on the lower part. So this is what we have, okay? Can you see it? So now this extra allowance now is what we use to join the yoke, okay? So this part, you can see me pinning it back also. So now this is that about the back. So this is the back yoke neckline, and this is how it is going to come, okay? So this is what the back looks like. So for the front, it is all the corset mesh, okay? It is the corset mesh we are using, and everything I cut is double. So I'm going to open it up for us to see what I did. And before I open it up, you see the center part, we slitted open. I added 1/2 inch because we'll be joining it back together. I added 1/2 inch to this part also, okay? So I'll go ahead and remove all the pins. So like I said, it is double. So this is the center. The center was cut on fold. So this is what we have, okay? This is what we have. You can see that the opening is not much because when I was cutting, I added extra inches that we used to turn the skin net, okay? So this is what we have. And on this part, it is 2-2. like I said. So this is how it is going to come. Can you see? So the first thing I will go ahead to do now is to join them together. I'll go ahead and press the mesh together. Okay, you know it is two, it is double, so I'll go ahead and press it down, so that it is easier for me to work with. So like you press your material to your lace. That's what I want to do, is just to go ahead and hold it down with stitches. Okay, or probably we'll go to the sewing machine together and do that. And this is the skin net for the front, so we're going to start sewing with the front pattern, and the skin net is double also. Now you can make it single, but if you're draping on it, it is better you double it, okay, so that it doesn't tear. Even though this is an original skin net, you know it is very soft and fragile. It really cannot take a lot of pressure, okay, so that's why you have to double it. So this is what we have at the end of the day, and this part is going to come like this, then this part is going to go like this. Okay, can you see it? So the next thing now, we'll be going to the sewing machine together to join it.